Hey, everybody. Welcome into the tasting room live stream. I just had Austin get up and grab something because it looked like a gel pill.
Yeah.
And I didn't want Prudence, who's laying up there, just to decide to eat it.
Probably ice off of my boot.
Fair. It ended up being
get up on the couch, though?
I'm not sure. Could have been from her, too. She was outside not too long ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, welcome in. I don't know where you're watching from, but it's a snowy... Well, it hasn't been snowing today, but it's been a snowy day.
Frozen day.
Yeah. I think we got up to... Was it like
I was going to say I think 11. It was 17 degrees.
17? Okay.
In total.
And the wind chill was still down around...
At least 9.
Yeah.
This morning, though, it was down at like a negative 13.
Yeah, it was cold. How you doing?
I'm doing very good.
Good.
Yeah.
Christina Winkle is going to join us for the first half hour. She's the host of, I have exciting news about the podcast network as well, but we can get into that later. But she is the host of one of the 3 podcasts on the network called Chew, Sip, Repeat, which you can hear every Friday. So we'll bring her on to talk about that. It's her first foray into podcasting. Go ahead.
I've had a full weekend, though. I forgot that I didn't do my homework assignment that you set me out to do.
I don't remember what your homework assignment was.
That's okay.
Remind me.
I'll remind you afterwards.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was.
No, you're fine.
So anyway, but I was going to say before we bring Christina on, you and Lisa had your baby shower.
Yeah.
And it was the coolest baby shower. Granted, and I'm not trying to poo-poo on the baby shower.
No, you're good.
But guys don't get the invite a lot. It's usually a genderized thing, and men are left to go play golf or watch football or do something.
Which is just fine.
So I haven't been to many. Was what I was trying to get at.
Right.
But that one was really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with it other than
you made the baby that we were showering. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to say that I stuck
Good job,
in there.
buddy. Yeah, you could say that. No, but it was really cool. I don't know if people have seen pictures. I don't know if they're up anywhere, but like you turned that whole, or not you, but so who? It was Lisa's cousin. Okay, that's what I thought.
Lisa's cousin.
And
she best friend, I guess.
Does she do that? Like, is that
no, she doesn't. That was just her spoiling or whatever. Yeah, I know. Because she needs to start a business for that.
Yeah, she turned it into this like jungle
fairy wonderland. Yeah,
yeah, oasis, and there was great food, and there was
the
awesome. Gifts to take home were candles for adults, which here's one of them. That's Cabin Baby.
Did we pick right for the living room?
Yeah, that was fantastic. Perfect. And I'm gonna actually get in touch with the candle maker, Lava Jelly Studio out of California.
Oh, nice.
Because I like her candles.
Yeah.
But then the kids had animal crackers they could take home, and there was guess how many animal crackers were in the thing. There was signing the baby photo. There was guess the birth day. And
I had a blind. Oh, did you stay for the blind tasting?
No.
Oh,
the blind tasting of what?
I picked 3 beers, and then we poured them into baby bottles. Oh. and I had a blind tasting contest. That was really fun.
I love that. Let's go ahead and bring Christina on.
Yeah, come on.
I feel like this is a conversation you could enlighten us on, Christina. Is that like are those kind of like not giveaways, but party favors and like all the different things? Is that normal baby shower etiquette?
Yeah. Okay. Usually, I mean, most parties, right? Like even kids' birthday parties, they'll have like little grab bags or take home bags or things of that nature that are filled with stickers and slap bracelets and whatever. So I would say that it's relatively common, although it does sound very, very cute. Like
it was. Yeah, she did.
Thanks. I think it was the second baby shower I've ever been to. So I've had one other example.
And I've had siblings that have been pregnant, and I don't think I've been to any of their baby showers.
Well, it's not a guy thing to go to.
And I think
normally,
I think my brother's wife was the one that like I was on the fence about going to, and I think it was CJ, who's been on this podcast before, that was like, "Hey, dude, don't don't worry about it. Like, it'd be cool if you came, but like it'll be you and I, and like a bunch of Rebecca's friends." So, Christina Winkle, how are you, friend? By the way,
I'm good. Hi. How are you?
Good. Go ahead, finish your thought though.
Well, I was just trying to think if Trey has ever, did he ever go to any of our baby showers? And he is the father, and I don't know. I don't know if he did, because I think it was just I did it with my sisters and my friends and that. I don't know if he ever joined.
Yeah, Lisa asked me, she was like, "Hey, I think we're going to have the baby shower at the brewery." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." It's like, "Yeah, you want to invite all of your friends?" And I was like, "Lisa, I don't think that they're going to come."
But I
Although I feel like there's a big shift. Like I feel like in comparison to, our grandparents' age, like think of like our grandparents and how present the father was in just raising of the child.
Yeah.
And then think about like how present dads are today in raising of the child. I feel like there's like kind of like the pendulum is swinging towards where it is a joint effort. Raising a child is a joint effort. So therefore the celebration of the birth should be a joint effort. And
I mean,
baby showers and having dad present with his friends and everything like that is definitely becoming more of the norm, I feel like.
let's also just be realistic. It should be a joint effort, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
not to
It
say that
should
our
be more
forefathers and
holistic. Yeah.
past generations were wrong, but they were kind of wrong in that regard. Like
Well, and it was just a
Yeah.
completely different time and culture and
It was.
everything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hey, Austin, hand me the yellow lighter right behind you. I'm going to light this cabin baby candle so you can smell it in the
Oh,
living
good.
room. Because the green one was the one that was lit at the baby shower.
Oh, it smelled great.
I don't remember which one that was. Okay, so Miss Winkle,
Yes, sir.
wife of one of my favorite people in the world.
We
How
have
is
in
Trey,
common.
by the way?
He's good. He's good. He's upstairs with the girls, putting them all to bed right now. That's kind of like
Cool.
when we talk about joint effort, that is
Yeah.
his like daily task. I usually wake up with the girls in the morning and feed them breakfast and get them ready for school and do all that. And he puts them to bed. So
I love that. So Trey is one of the two that my Taco Tuesday crew.
Oh, sweet.
So Trey and Josh Royal. Yeah.
yes.
Which thank you for letting him out of the house to do that on
Oh yes, I give him
every other Tuesday.
leave every once in a while. I'm just kidding.
No, I know. All right. So tell me about Chew Sip Repeat. I know you were nervous to kick it off. A little gentle nudging from me probably helped. And then
Yeah.
you posted episode 0, which was the Hello, I'm Christina.
Which
Then
was
you
like the
had-
most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my life, because who likes
Hey, but
talking
you sounded
about
great.
themselves? Oh, thank you, Austin. Yeah. I don't like who likes talking about themselves. That's not it doesn't
Some
come very
egotistical
naturally.
people do. There are people that do like talking about themselves.
It doesn't come naturally to me, I should say. And
Yeah.
so I'm not joking, I probably did it 20 times.
That's
Like
funny.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah. No, but it was good practice. It came out well. And then episode 1 was Trevor Tack, who
Yep.
was on this podcast, The Tasting Room. Wow, was that 21? No, it was 22. It was in 22.
It was
Oh,
the
yeah,
lead
yeah,
up,
yeah.
to Hemingway. So yeah, it was probably 22.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was.
They
It
were
was.
just getting ready to open, I feel like.
And then
That seems like
episode 2 was one of my favorite people in the culinary world, Nico Albert.
Yeah.
I'm going to say her name right. Did she ever tell you the story about how I mispronounced her name?
No, but you just did it again, not to call you out or anything, because it's
What did I say?
It's Nico Albert Williams. She is now married.
Oh, fair,
Oh.
fair. Okay, you almost made me like. I was like, wait, how? No. So I knew her as Chef Nico.
Yeah,
That's how I knew her.
I think most people know her as Chef Nico. Yeah,
I don't even think I had seen her last name like
Yeah.
written anywhere. And I'm emceeing an event that actually you might have been at, because Trey was on one of the teams. It was, now I'm forgetting who it was for, but it was where there were like teams of chefs, and it was almost like a Iron Chef type thing. And
Yeah.
they were going against each other. And so me and I think it was Neely Jones from Channel 8 were the two MCs. And I was like the roving, like get in everybody's way and be awkward and like talk to them while they're cooking reporter person. And then we were both on stage, like reading different stuff. And I was introducing the chefs, and I'm just going down the line, and I see her last name, and there's no, I don't know what they call it in France or whatever, but there was no mark over any of the letters or anything. And so I was just like,
Right.
Nico Albert.
Ampersand or whatever.
Yeah, I was just like, Nico Albert. And they just like kept going. Didn't
right.
think anything of it. And then I don't remember who it was. It actually might have been Trey, but somebody afterwards was like, hey, psst, by the way, it's Albert. It's like, oh, whoops, my bad.
Oopsies.
trying
But
to
she was the episode. Or go ahead.
Oh no, I was just trying to think of the name of what. I can't think of the name. I know exactly what event you're talking about because Trey's done it multiple years in a row.
Mhm.
I can't. He'll tell me as soon as I'll text you.
I think I'm having deja vu because I think the last time I tried to talk about this, I had to ask Trey what that event was because I also couldn't remember it, and it did not stick in my brain because I am now also not remembering it. But Chef Nico was the second episode that posted Friday.
Yes.
And then you have a third one posting this Friday, which are we keeping those surprises? Because I know you didn't tell Nico who it was.
Well, I didn't. I thought it would be fun to do kind of like who's the person that, but then I also thought, like, do people really like how much are I don't know. So I've gone back and forth on like whether or not I thought it would be a good idea to have, it be like this unveiling of when the podcast actually is available.
I like that though. So we won't talk about who it is, but I'm going to impart on you something that I've watched on a podcast that I think would be really good if you use it on yours.
Okay.
So I think it's called, oh man, it's either Diary of a CEO or I think it's The Wealthy CEO is the name of the podcast. It's also a video cast on YouTube. The guy's over in Great Britain somewhere. It's awesome podcast. And and it's not on camera, but he has each guest leave a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest is.
Oh
and
my
then
God, I love that.
He starts off the next podcast with the question from the previous guest on the podcast.
I'm totally
I think, yeah, you should. It would be perfect in the way you have it set up and the way you're doing it.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And we'll just have to, I'm actually going to look up.
I just don't announce my guests because I normally don't know what they are until, a few days
made me
before.
choke. Yeah, I was going to say because you don't know who it is. Yeah.
And then next week I have a guest
who is unknown,
who is unknown to myself.
Right, not to just you, but to me too. I don't know yet.
Okay, so
who can I finagle to get into the seat next to me?
It's not Wealthy CEO. This is going to bother me now. I can't remember. Oh, there it is. The Diary of a CEO.
Oh, well, shoot it to me.
I'm getting books and podcasts confused.
Yeah.
The Diary of a CEO is the podcast.
Oh.
So we'll give them credit. So what's been the thing that surprised you the most, positive and negative, about recording and doing a podcast?
Oh, I guess positive would be that it's John knows this about me. I don't know. I feel like anybody who knows me knows this about me, but I feel like I'm allergic to technology. It's not like it does not come natural to me at all. And probably a lot of it is just because of like fear of unknown, and I don't want to mess anything up, and I'm so terrified of screwing something up. And so I was actually shocked on how easy it was to utilize, and this, I mean, I feel like I'm plugging the company, but
Rode.
to use Rode. I mean, I was really pleasantly surprised on how, because I mean, I kept blowing up John, going like, okay, is this right? Is this right? Like, what do I do next? Is this right? And he's like, it's really not that difficult.
Just turn them on.
Just turn it on.
But you haven't, neither of you actually, to both of your credit, and I'm going to knock on this wood right here. Sorry. Oh, sorry guys. It wasn't, the dogs looked like, who, what? We haven't had any like double punches or forgetting to check and see if it's recording or whatever. Everything's been golden. You got to get me one too, because you have one coming up this week.
I do.
Yeah. Or no, this one's already edited. It would be next week's, right?
No. I need one to you this week.
Oh, is it this week?
I'm pretty sure.
I've lost track of weeks.
No, you're good.
Okay.
And I haven't, but this week has been kind of a busy one.
A little bit. Yeah. a little cold. Yeah. So it's, not, I mean, I don't even think, these are Rode mics. We're just a Rode podcast network.
Hey, they should sponsor.
I was going to say,
and today's episode is sponsored by
God, Rode. That'd be great.
That'd be super cool.
Maybe they could reimburse me for all these microphones.
They're not an official sponsor of the podcast just yet, but we will give them a shout out. Their stuff is really easy to use. The hardest part for me was to turn it off.
Yeah.
Like you personally turning off, or the or the equipment?
No, well, no, not I can turn off the microphones pretty easily, but for whatever reason, the receiver didn't want to turn off for me.
Huh.
All 3 times that I've recorded it.
I think you got to hold it down for a few seconds.
I did.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that was enough. And I put it back into the holding case and I watched it and it turned itself off every single time.
Interesting.
Some magic. I don't know.
It's probably dead. We should probably charge that. Yeah. Before you start recording.
It just ran out of battery.
Yeah. You just plug it into the computer to charge it, by the way. So
yeah,
we'll get that charged.
So I'm in the same boat. Technology is, I think, allergic to me. So
there you go.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you guys are on the network. This is great. I'm the only one that knows anything about technology.
John, you keep us alive. It's good.
Oh, that's funny. Well, so since the whole network is here right now, what I was talking to Austin about earlier, I was on the phone with CJ, my brother, and he is going to record his first podcast tomorrow that is going to be on the network, and it's going to be real estate mortgage related. So totally different.
Nice.
Very cool.
And then there's going to be a sports gambling one that is going to come on the network at some point in the relatively near future too. So that'll be fun. Yeah. So I told him
I've got a lot of podcasts to catch up on.
Yeah. I was like, I'm trying to diversify here because we have, the tasting room, which I also had this idea. So if I ever have someone that just like randomly wants to come on the podcast, but can't come on Monday night.
Yeah.
I'm going to separately record something and call it like tasting room after hours or something. And
there you
just
go.
have like a quick, like 15-20 minute conversation and just use it as like a random piece of content.
Yeah. And we can
like
follow up on whatever that conversation was. Yeah. I love that.
Or like a teaser.
Alexa thought you were talking to her. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be fun. And so we'll have sports and sports gambling covered. We'll have random real estate world covered. And then we'll, because I mean, obviously, if you look at these 3 shows, this one started as kind of a look into the way culture is evolving in communities and that really focused around hospitality and whether it be breweries or distilleries or restaurants or whatever. Now it's more of a kind of a catch-all lifestyle. We talk about our podcast and then kind of whatever else is on our mind or kind of on the world stage. But then Christina picked up the ball and ran with more of the hospitality industry side of things on Chew Sip Repeat. And then you were handling the owning a brewery and, the ins and outs and the details that us laymen that just like to drink beer don't really know about on kettle editions. So
yeah.
We were obviously in a world and in a realm.
Yeah.
Right.
And we were just like an echo chamber of our own things that we love. So I needed to expand it a little bit. So hopefully that's the first of a few different expansions, but at some point I have to be a little picky about what I expand and like who I bring in and that sort of stuff. But at this point, I'm just throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks.
There you go.
So,
I love it.
Yeah. What kind of guests do you have lined up without giving names, Christina?
For episode 3?
Or not 3, but just 3 and then onwards, like that it's on your wish list or, type of guests that we're talking about. Yeah.
Well, episode 3, I'm diving back into the topic that I did with Trevor in episode 1 in the sense of where we're talking about the struggles of the industry and the like what's to come, like where is it heading, what's the future hold for it, but on with like a slightly different version of that because it's going to be focused on the front of the house. So the person that I'm having coming on for episode 3 has been in the industry and managing, bartending, running restaurants for 20 plus years. So definitely the front of the house perspective versus where Trevor Tack was chef's perspective. So it should be very interesting. And there's a lot of really cool stuff that we talk about. And then in the future, I don't know, my vision always for like what we would talk about would be things that inside baseball that a lot of the industry are, we talk about when we're having house parties, like what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Like, for example, in episode 3, we talk about the service charge that is becoming kind of more popular. What does that mean? What do you think about it? How does that fit into the future of the industry? Or one of the guests that I personally am very excited about having on that we've spoken about, we just haven't set a date yet. We are going to talk about review culture and how much it's changed on restaurant reviews since this person started doing restaurant reviews and was writing for publications in 1998 versus what it's grown into today. So just talking of, very interesting. So just really kind of, my hope is to be specific. I know that it's very niche market in the sense of the viewers potentially with Tulsa, right? Because they're all people from Tulsa. But I want to have like a broader scope of the topics that we're talking about that hit nationwide, and maybe even globally, as far as what's happening across the world as far as the restaurant industry is concerned. And then also talking, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. But both of those topics are not just Tulsa by any short of the mean.
Right.
The service charge, which is super, super cool. That's been going on in Europe for the last 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Europe has a totally different way of how they structure their pay for their employees versus America. So, and have for a really long time. Like the servers, they aren't getting paid $2.13 an hour,
No, most of them are getting 20 to 30 euros an hour.
Exactly.
Because of their, so you have their mindset of going to a restaurant is I'm paying a surcharge because I'm taking a table, or I'm paying rent to sit at this table. And so in Paris, I didn't even know what the acronym means, but it's TGV, service charge, and it's 20% for alcohol, I think, and then 10% for food. And that is basically the service charge that would pay for the server and everything else at the restaurant. And then the server can accept a tip on top of that, but they
don't push for it.
They don't push for it at all.
Right.
They thank you for it, obviously, but they're very surprised when you're, hey, here's €5. They're like, why?
What did I do?
Yeah, I imagine it's kind of like a double-edged sword being a waiter in Europe and having an American sit at your table. You're like, oh, this could go either way.
Yeah.
I'm either going to get a tip at this or things could be problematic,
But the good thing about the service charge is, even if we're stupid Americans and, the type of people that don't tip, which nobody on this podcast is that way, you're still making more money. Like if that happened in America, you'd be screwed.
Right.
As service staff,
Right.
Yeah, it was really odd. I've been to Ireland a couple of times in the last 5 years, and that's about it over there. Well, I went to Portugal. Portugal actually had a little bit of a tipping culture, but in Paris, there wasn't even a tipping line on their receipt.
Wow.
It was interesting.
That happened to me at Tortilleria de Puebla. Now that I think about it, because they rang us up.
It's becoming more common.
Josh, so we go in rotation of who pays, and Josh paid for this dinner, and he got the receipt, and he was like, "Do I tip?" To me, and I said, "I think I tipped last time," and he was like, and there was no line on the receipt, so he just put cash like on the counter. Yeah, it's crazy how the different cultures could. Anyway, that's going to be a good episode. I'm interested to hear that one.
Yes. I'm really excited about the review culture too, and things like that. Just talking about topics that are really, affecting of the industry worldwide or at least nationally, and then, but with Tulsa professionals. So it should be fun.
I don't know if you guys saw this, and I don't remember which group it was in. It was either in the Tulsa Restaurant Reviews group or the Piso food review group or whatever on Facebook. But the owner of Mandarin Taste made this long post about how basically in her culture, which that's true, like Mandarin Chinese food, that it's made in a way in which, or the experience is supposed to be one in which you eat family style. So you have your own bowls of rice, and then no matter what you ordered, the plates come out when they're ready. There's no like, not every person at the table gets their exact dish at the same time. And she started getting 1-star reviews because people were like, yeah, the food came out at different times, or the food, like just dumb Americans not paying attention to like where they are and the style of food and the experience they're supposed to be having. And it might seem like nothing, but I'm sure this will be part of your episode, and I don't want to step on your episode's toes, but 1-star ratings can hurt a restaurant.
Oh, 100%. Yes. I mean, like,
so, yeah.
You guys know, with owning a business and cabin boys and things of that, like, it really affects, it can really have a huge effect on your business. And the problem is that exactly what you're saying, John, is that people a lot of times who are writing these reviews and giving these bad marks are really doing so without the knowledge of what they're reviewing, right? It would be like saying, I went to this Italian restaurant and ordered carbonara and it came with bacon or pork or whatever. And they were like, I'm so turned off by it. 1 star. Well, carbonara is traditionally made with pork. So, like, if you don't know that and you're giving this rating based on what your taste buds like or what your expectations were without the knowledge of food, then it shouldn't be, it should be like disqualified. Like, there should be somebody being able to be like, wrong answer. That review doesn't count, like, because it just, it's not fair to the business owners,
So how do we, and I know we're cheating. This is so interesting that you bring this up. Because your 1-star reviews by a random person that can give their own opinion at any point in time without any repercussion,
right? Or any reason, really.
Or any reason is.
Let me answer your question before you ask it.
Detrimental to
we as a society are stupid.
Oh, we're right, very stupid.
And so we should not allow the inmates to run the asylum in this regard.
True.
Like, the reviews should come from like accredited food reviewers.
Right. So how do we get back? Well,
sorry, Yelp,
maybe this. I would love to hear this subject though from 2 people that have lived it for a while, because maybe there is a great balance of it, because you have an accredited reviewer that comes to your restaurant and can shut you down in one night.
Totally.
But you're going to survive a 1-star review from a streetwalker.
A streetwalker.
But maybe it's like something. This is what I would be intrigued about, is like, could we get to, on Airbnb, the Airbnb user also has a review on them that
the host can review the guest.
Yes.
Right.
And actually, the hosts, if you have a bad enough rating, can refuse your stay.
I mean, and again, like, I want people to tune into the episode when you do this, so we can kind of wrap up.
I think this is a great teaser. I love.
But
give her content to talk about. This is great
to me. Like, if you actually, and this goes back to society as a whole being stupid, right? If I'm going to let Joe Blow on the street, who might have never had Mandarin food before,
right,
his 1-star review, and not read it, like actually read it, because some of the things, it's like, would have given it 5 stars, but they let the ice in my water melt, so 1 star.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck
so
you.
Absurd.
Like,
so absurd.
Well,
and what's really sad is that a lot of times those ratings they get like on average, right? So if there's a lot of 1-star reviews and they're giving them 1-star review because their ice melted, even though the food was delicious or whatever, it'll average out and say, on average, it's a 2.4 review restaurant. How many people are really combing through those when they're in a hurry to get something to eat and they're just looking at the star ratings? It's really not fair. And
this goes like to anything. Like, if you look at an Amazon product, I did this the other day.
Yeah.
And the higher ratings that you get, the more SEOs you get, and the blah blah blah.
But there was, so like, at least on Amazon, and to probably my credit, but just for full transparency, I don't look at Yelp, so I don't know how they have it set up. But on Amazon, like it'll say 5,000 5-star reviews, 400 4-star reviews. Like it'll break it down by star.
Right.
And if you look at the 1 stars, it's like they're blaming that it was delivered 30 minutes late, like not the actual product.
Right.
It's like the box was
process.
damaged. Yeah. It was like, come on. Like,
I was
like what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah.
Come on.
The fun. Oh my gosh. If you really want to have a blast, you should look up reviews of national parks. It is awesome. I think there's an entire account out there that is based on 1-star national park reviews.
Oh wow.
And I think they have t-shirts and everything based upon these reviews.
That's fantastic.
But it is hilarious.
I would love to know how a national park gets 1 star, but I'm gonna have to read this. Yeah.
Like I think one of the examples is
I got a flat tire.
It was
didn't see any bison. 1-star review.
Went to the Grand Canyon. It was a big hole. What's the big whoop? And it's like,
I mean, come on. Goodness gracious.
That's ridiculous.
Christina Winkle, it's time. We could do this all night. I'm gonna let you get back to your family. It's 8:30. So
Yeah.
well, hey, say something that you would kind of tease your listeners on, because I'm excited. I apologize, I haven't been able to listen but to 2 so far of your podcasts, and love what you're doing already. What would you say?
What
would you say to entice people?
Yeah. So so for somebody that hasn't listened to your podcast yet, what's the point of differentiation from other podcasts? Like, what would you say is like your hook? And that's a big question, just like put you on the spot with, Austin. You just threw it out there.
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just, I don't know. I mean, like a hook, I'm trying to like phrase it into a sentence, and that's really difficult. But I would just say
you can just talk it through.
It's my attempt to stay connected to an industry that I love so much. And that's what the whole podcast for me selfishly is. And it not to sound like cheesy or anything like that, but it's kind of like, I personally find the industry so romantic in so many different ways, and I just want to shine a light on it as much as possible, and then also talk about the hard, the difficulties that it is to run a restaurant, a bar, to grow food, to make beer, to do whatever that encompasses this beautiful industry that we all love so much. And that people cannot get enough of. Like, everyone wants to go out and eat. Everyone wants that experience, that wine and dine kind of thing. And I would like to just be able to showcase and this industry, and specifically Tulsa's professionals, and just really talk about, like the hard subjects that a lot of people don't really take the time to discuss.
I think you did well you landed the plane well. That was good.
That was a soft landing.
It was.
That was great.
Austin threw turbulence into the air. And
I was like, here's some snow and some really cold weather.
A few flock of geese. Just throw it up there.
Engine down.
Don't hit the geese. So we'll plan on doing this maybe once a month or so. We'll have you on, and we'll talk through some past episodes and tease some upcoming episodes. And every once in a while, you need to have your husband next to you, and we can pick his brain too.
I love that idea too. I keep asking him to come on the podcast, and he keeps telling me
he's got to at some point. Yeah. If he came on for me when I was hosting it, he has to come on Chew Sip Repeat.
Right? It has to. It's a requirement. Yeah. I will make it law.
Right. Tell the family I said hello.
I will. You gentlemen have a good night.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you too.
Adios.
Christina
was awesome.
Yeah, she's great. So we were just talking about, and by the way, Chew Sip Repeat every Friday, and check it out. It'll be on the YouTube channel. If you're watching this live, you're obviously there. It'll also be Spotify, all the things.
She might have one of the best podcast voices.
Yeah, she does.
Not lying.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, and I don't know. She's never really been in this space before, so it's just a natural thing. It's not like
Natural cadence.
Everyone thought because I did TV that I would like go to the bars afterwards, and they would be like, "Oh, like talk like you do on TV," and I would be like, "Hey, what?" And like, no, like you do on TV, and I'm like, "Hey, like."
And tonight I'm going to have a beer.
But like some people think that like all of a sudden that camera light would come on and I'll be like, "Tonight in sports," but it's not. You just talk like you talk. But like her voice is a voice that just is made for the airwaves of the podcast world. Yeah. Yep. But we were talking about this before. So you brought over Fest beer.
I did.
What was the beer? I just squirreled off for a second, but what was the beer at the shower that you were saying you were in love with right now? Was it the English Stout?
The English Stout, Brick Lane.
Yep.
Oh,
will that be there in February?
Awesome. Maybe.
Is it in cans?
No, it's in kegs. I don't know how many kegs we have left.
I might need to get how long will a growler stay if I don't open it?
I would get a crowler from the brew pub.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll go do that.
The crowler from the brew pub will stay at least, let's call it a month.
Oh, okay, cool. So I got time.
Yeah.
So I'll go do that. Maybe. I don't think I'm going to leave the house tomorrow because all of this that was melting today is going to turn into ice, and it's going to be tougher to drive tomorher than it was today.
It could be a little treacherous.
Yeah. So I'll probably not go tomorrow, but maybe on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'll swing by and do that. But we were talking, and like, I don't know if we said this on the podcast or if we just said it in real life, past podcast, but my goal was to make it to the 15th, which is today.
And you're going strong.
Of not drinking. I will tell you, I have a story. And then I was just going to drink not at home and then drink socially. But at this point, I'm halfway through the month. I mean, just, go another 2 weeks, right? Just make it. But okay, so I can't say too much about it because I don't want to talk bad about the place I was at. So I'm going to have to like tiptoe around this. But I was at a place that hadn't opened yet over the weekend. It was a test run of sorts.
Okay.
They had a full 0 proof cocktail menu.
Oh.
Right? Full, like, there's like 6 different drinks.
Cool. Right on.
Boulevardier, Negroni, old fashioned, but all made with 0 stuff.
Sweet.
So I ordered the Boulevardier. They brought me an alcoholic cocktail. Mind you, I took a sip.
That's
of it.
okay.
I took a sip and I was like, this isn't a Boulevardier. And I gave it to Amber and she was like, nope. And I took another sip and I was like, I don't know what this is. And it had some jam on the spoon. I was like, I don't want that. So I did. I've had 2 sips of alcohol, but
that wasn't your fault.
Imagine if I was like 5 or 10 or 15 years sober and I go to a restaurant and I order something off the non-alcoholic menu they give me a freaking alcohol. I would have been
pissed,
livid.
Well, you probably at that point in time. Okay, so
I mean,
you're 15 days in of not drinking alcohol.
Yes.
If you were not drinking alcohol for 5 years,
I wouldn't order a mocktail.
Well, but if you even had, you probably have already had an experience where someone made a mistake.
Sure.
And
that initial, I would have been livid.
Oh, if it was the first one, you probably would be pissed.
Yeah. Or even if it was then it would like calmer heads would have prevailed. And I would have been like, it was just a sip. Like, okay, I'm not going to go like do a line of Coke now or something because I had,
right.
But like, I would have been livid though. Right off the bat. Like, are you kidding me? Like, how did you ring this in? It's not even the right. It wasn't even the alcoholic version of the non-alcoholic drink I ordered. It was just a completely different drink. I was like, how did we mess this one up?
That's two wrongs.
Yeah.
In that scenario, you do not make a right.
Yes, that is true. Try this. So that is the Best Day Brewing Company. We talked about it a little bit last podcast. Yeah. It's the one. The only reason I ordered a sample pack of it is because Jake and Jessica from
come on, at least add 1 calorie.
Give me 69.
Come on.
They are carrying it at Heirloom for dry January and just for people that don't want to drink alcohol when they show up. So I got a Kolsch, I got a hazy IPA, and I got a West Coast IPA. And I think that West Coast IPA is the closest tasting beer that's not alcoholic to a real beer I've had in a minute.
That's pretty awesome,
right? I mean, it's pretty on point for a West Coast IPA.
Yeah, it has that. Yeah,
It has like
That's pretty darn good.
I mean, you can tell it's like missing just a little something.
It's missing something,
but it's the kind of hoppy characters there.
Yeah.
And like it's solid.
That's pretty solid.
And I was sipping earlier on a phony Negroni.
Nice.
But so here's how, like, I try to take care of myself as much as I can. Like,
of course,
watch what I eat, watch what I drink. The sugar content on those phony Negronis is astronomical,
way up there.
So that
is what you have to watch out for. And
so what I did, that's
cocktails.
the fourth glass I've poured myself out of the same bottle. I just did like a little bit and then put the cap back on.
Soda or
no, I was just like just enough to like appease me.
There you go.
Yeah. So I just broke it into fourths so that it was only, instead of 48% of my daily sugar, it was only whatever that is.
So
10%.
we're gonna roll out a few different cocktails on our menu at the brew pub, and they will be everything all right. Everything good?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
That was just looking weird.
We didn't like accidentally delete ourselves from the world.
No, we're good.
Okay.
It was just there. It is.
That's
just
good.
Acting weird for a second.
We're gonna bring on, I think, 3 or 4 new non-alcoholic cocktails to the menu.
Nice.
Which is gonna be really cool, and they're gonna be inspired by the cocktails at Alinea in Chicago.
Dude, one of my favorite restaurants.
And one of them's a stout. The coolest thing about the recipe that we're going to be rolling out is, so everybody tries to make a non-alcoholic.
I'm going to post this in the comments just so everyone can see how cute this stupid dog is. Okay.
That's really cute, actually. Everybody tries to make a beer taste like a beer, a non-alcoholic beer taste like a beer. So this stout that we're going to roll out does taste like a stout, but your palate knows that it's not a stout. Like it does, like your palate knows that it's not a beer. Let's put it that way. So it is a liquid that reminds you of beer, but your brain says, "Oh, well, this is cool. It's not beer, but it tastes really good."
That's awesome.
And it also tastes like beer.
Have you had food at Alinea?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Lisa and I got to go to Alinea the second week of January last year.
Nice.
I don't think I'm going to have a better experience with food ever in my life unless I go back there.
I've been lucky. Let me preface this statement with that. Like, when I travel to eat. Mm-hmm. And so I've had some pretty cool experiences. Yeah. I would put only 3 other restaurants I've been to or experiences I have would I put ahead of Alinea, but I'm talking it's like a horse race sliver. Where it's like a nose and like a nose and a nose, 11 Madison Park in New York was just out of this world. I mean, it was, now granted, it's the most money I've ever spent on a dinner.
I would imagine.
Sitting at the bar by myself, it was like a $465 tab. Yeah. But it was one of those things where I wasn't supposed to be served the tasting menu, but I made friends with the bartender who was from Oklahoma. Nice. He had family in Tulsa, random. Yeah. And he was like, he called the manager over.
You've eaten for less than 400 at Alinea?
Well, it was, actually, you know what? It was probably right about that amount.
I was about to say, yeah, we did it about as cheap as possible.
And it was in the 5s, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So that one, yeah. But that one, the way in my mind, the difference was I was by myself versus I was with other people in the other ones.
So if you're listening, though, we're talking about 2 different restaurants. One in New York, one
Michelin
in Chicago.
Stars,
3 Michelin star. Yeah. Alinea has been the #1 restaurant in the North American continent for 14 years straight.
Yeah, for a long time.
And when you have one of those experiences at Alinea, Lisa and I had 12 servers for our table.
It's insane.
Alone.
Yeah.
We had a fork guy. we had one person specifically for water.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it almost is intimidating.
it can be if they're not doing it right.
Right.
But they didn't make it intimidating, which was impressive.
And to me, I think that's because the experience, and you're just so drawn into the food and the
Yeah.
atmosphere and everything. But if you ever stopped and like looked around, like there was people just like staring
Moving
at you
all the
Yeah.
time.
And
Yeah.
just watching everything you do, because it was somebody's job to like make sure, no, that spoon was back here,
Yeah.
or this one needs to be traded out for this. Like,
But they also couldn't be in sight.
right. So it was like you felt eyes if you thought about it, but they weren't. It was, yeah.
Yeah,
It was a little trippy.
wild.
It was a little
It's cool.
trippy. But 11 Madison Park was just a smidgen ahead. The French Laundry in Napa.
I want to go there.
Yeah.
But
And-
he came, the owner of Alinea, or the chef at Alinea,
Uh-huh.
came from
Yeah.
the
It was
the French Laundry.
Who is it? It's not Grant.
No, but you're close.
I know.
You're close.
I know. I'll think of it later.
I'll look it up.
But the cool part
going.
about French Laundry, the experience, yes, the food was great. And I'm not ranking food. I'm just ranking experiences overall. We got a tour of the kitchen after we ate.
Grant.
It is Grant. Alcaraz or
Akats.
I can never say his last name. Okay,
chats.
Yeah.
So sorry.
He has a chef's table on Netflix.
Yeah.
After him, and yeah, it's fantastic. But at the French Laundry, the experience part that was just a smidge ahead of Alinea was that we got a tour of the kitchen after we were done, and we were just kind of walking through whatever.
Cool.
And Thomas Keller, well, he was there, but so like we walked through the kitchen, and he has his back turned to the line, and he's staring at a monitor, and he's on the phone. And so we're walking, and I kind of see the back of his head, and I asked my waiter, I was like, "Is that Chef Keller?" And as soon as I asked that, he starts berating somebody on the other line. He was watching a live stream of his restaurant in New York from the kitchen and seeing something wrong with the way things were being plated or cooked or something.
Oh my
and
gosh.
had his like executive chef, sous chef, whatever on the phone, basically tearing them a new one because he was doing something wrong at his restaurant that he wasn't there for, which I believe his is 11 Madison Park in New York. So I think those are the two.
That's
yeah,
intense.
he wasn't a happy camper.
I like to sleep at night.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be that intense on people.
And then number one for me, the best experience I've ever had at a restaurant was a place called Schwa in Chicago. So next time you go, I think it's a one Michelin star, only 2 seatings a night. There's one early and one late. The music changes to match the food each course. So it's like a thing, and it's a BYOB.
That's cool.
You bring your own beer, you give it to your waiter or waitress when you sit down. They take it to the back. The chef opens it, tastes it, and then pairs it with what he think is best for the course. So we brought like a case of beer for the kitchen as well, because one of my friends that we ate with that night drove. And so we just sent him with a bunch of beer.
That's cool.
And so the chef owner comes out before we, like probably second course, checking on us, all this stuff. He goes, "Hey, you're going to have a dessert course, but don't leave. We have a special dessert for you. Just remember to not leave." And so this was only like a 5 or 6 course dinner. It wasn't crazy.
Right.
Like 11 Madison Park, I think, was 15 or something.
Yeah,
like
Alinea was 16, I think.
And so we get done and we kind of forgot. Like we stand up because there were people, we were in the early seating.
Yeah.
And so people were kind of starting to come in, and it was a really small space. There's probably only 8 tables in the whole restaurant. And we hear, like, as we kind of start to make our way towards the front, we hear this, "Oh, whoa, 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 Oklahoma." We turn around and it's like, "You're not supposed to leave. You have a special dessert. Come back here."
Oh,
that's
like, cool.
Come back where? Kitchen. And so we go in the back, and there's this circle of the whole staff. They were doing like I don't know what you call it, like a rally after the service. And
Sure.
The chef was going through and saying, "Hey, we kind of messed this up here. This took a little long. Let's tweak this. Let's do this." Well, there was room for 4 of us in the circle to complete the circle.
Oh, that's
next
cool.
to him. He's like, so we stand up there, and I'm to his right, and you'll know why that's important in a second. And so he talks, and he goes, "These are our friends from Oklahoma. They brought you the case of beer." And they were all like, "Hey," cheersing the beer. And he was like, "So we're going to say thanks like we say thanks." And he pulled out a blunt from his chef's coat that was probably 6 inches. Like, it was massive. He lit it up, and he goes, "You know what we do? Nobody leaves till it's gone." And just passed it around. Probably like 20 people Thankfully, there was a couple big boys in there that took some good sized puffs. But we came out of that thing and it had to look like Dazed and Confused.
You were
because like the smoke was following us out, and people were like, "How do we get that? Like, where are they coming from? Like,
we want that."
Yeah. So that experience, just because of all of it,
That's
was
awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can't recreate that experience. That's awesome.
No, it was.
Oh my
it was
gosh.
fun.
Yeah, and I would love to go up on like those kinds of restaurants, rating reviews from the public.
Jeez. Yeah.
Alinea, 1 star. They served me unfiltered water.
My napkin wasn't folded in a swan when I came back from the bathroom. Jeez.
Actually, I have a really funny rating that just happened, I think, a couple of weeks ago.
To Cabin Boys?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it actually made it to the ratings, like if they went to Google or whatever. I would love it to find it if they did. A gal came up to the bar and I think may have been a little angry, I'm assuming, or maybe like assertive. Okay. Let's say assertive. And she was like, "I'm just making sure, but is your water filtered?" And my bartender was like, well, I mean, we have the water that we dispense for our guests goes through this filter system, I think. And she's like, "Okay, well, I'm just allergic to normal water."
Fuck off. That
she was like, I can't
irks me so
I can't
bad.
drink. I just can't drink unfiltered water because I'm allergic to normal water.
To what?
And my bartender,
fluoride? I would just teeth.
I would just love to have seen my bartender's expression.
Oh my gosh.
When that happened, because it was in like our bartender notes for the night. It was like, how do I combat? Can someone actually be
no
allergic?
Now, I'm not a doctor, so maybe you can be.
I don't think you can, unless, like,
what would it be? Copper or lead?
I guess if there, I mean, but Tulsa's water is like so fine. Perfectly fine.
It's totally.
I mean, it would have to be like well water that had something involved with it.
Yeah.
Outside of just H2O.
That's something.
I would have wanted to have asked, what do you do when you shower?
Yeah.
Or I guess they could have a softening.
I mean, they probably
system.
have like a home filtration system or something. But this just reminded me because I put my AirPod case there. Do you play chess?
I do.
I am horrible.
You're horrible?
Horrible.
I mean, probably in the retrospect of chess, I'm probably terrible.
I have this. I think I showed you the app that I play. Yet to win against the computer. Can't do it.
What hardness are you saying?
I don't know. But like
medium?
I don't even know. I haven't adjusted it. So whatever it started me at. But like I think it's because I don't see 2 or 3 moves ahead.
Sure.
Yet. In the computer, obviously, there's an algorithm thing there, so it knows what it's doing. You know, I'm not playing humans that are like me. I'm playing computers that have it all figured out, and I can't.
It can mathematically.
I can get close, but I can't freaking win. It just reminded me because I had it there. All right, let's play Name That Beer again. Okay. We'll only do 3 rounds this time because we're almost at an hour.
Okay, cool. I'll try to go fast.
And no, you're fine. And I'm also mentally thinking of ways that we could set this game up to where you actually stood a chance. Yeah, because
I was thinking the other day, I was telling someone that I played this game with you, and I was like, I had 3 questions and then another question. I was like, I was baffled. But we can try it.
So you had 3 questions to name the style of beer.
Correct.
And then once you knew the style, you had an additional question to try to name the country of the brewery.
Right.
So I wonder, all right, we'll have to think through this, but give me a number. I think it was between, hold on. Was it 7? Was that the starting
7
number?
and 400 or something like that?
8, and I think it was 377. Yep.
Okay.
Between 8 and 377. What are the odds you give me a number you already gave me? That would be pretty funny.
I mean, 1 in 377.
Or 8 and 377. Yeah.
But even then, I don't think that I would remember what it was.
I would remember the beer because I had to take pictures of it. And
Right.
Put it in the video. Yeah.
You would know.
Mm-hmm.
I would just be still in la land.
Yeah. All right, give me a number.
193.
I was at 196. How do I open up so close to what you say?
We're on
time?
very, very similar wavelengths.
Okay. 193, you're in the H's.
In the H's.
Yep.
All right. Is the bottle color green?
I have never heard of this kind of beer.
Sweet.
By the way, like I know what kind of beer it is, but I haven't heard of this kind of beer.
Okay.
No, the bottle is not green.
Okay.
So that's one. It's not Heineken.
You said it started with
H.
I mean, so
Heineken's not even in here because this is the 700 best beers in the world. So Heineken's not considered. Sorry, Germany.
Heineken's
Belgium? Yeah, that would be.
It's Belgian, right? Or
no,
Holland?
Dutch. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Not German.
No, it's okay.
Heineken kind of sounds German.
It does.
Okay, so no, the bottle is not green.
Is it in? You've never heard of this style before.
Well, let me. Don't let that.
Okay.
Don't let
I like that.
Don't let that
sway me.
Yeah, because so the category, like the style of beer I've heard of, the like what they call this beer style I haven't heard of. Okay. But like the overall, like the big umbrella style of the beer I've heard of.
Okay.
Yeah. Trying to help a little bit there.
Yeah. Is it on the European continent?
Yes.
Okay. Is it under 6%?
No.
Okay. So it's above 6%.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the European continent.
It's not,
and it's not green bottle. Which doesn't help me.
No, that was a bet. I'll give you another one.
That's okay.
Sub out for that first question. That was
not a stop. Would it be in the Czech Republic?
No.
Okay. Fortunately for me, that still narrows it down for me in style. I mean, it's not a Dortmunder, is it? The style?
Close. That's a good guess, but no. So it is a dark Doppelbock.
Oh, a dark Doppelbock.
But they call it Sundenbock.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one I hadn't heard of, was the Sundenbock. Yeah.
A so a dark Doppelbock is kind of a bad asterisk because a Doppelbock is dark.
Right. Yeah. So the style that I had heard of was Bock.
I've heard of blonde Bock beers.
Okay. And maybe Sunden is translation to
dark.
Blonde. I don't know. Well, no, because if it's a dark Doppelbock, it wouldn't be translated to blonde. So I'm sure you can guess the country, but you do get a question.
Sundenbock starts with an H.
Mm-hmm. You get a question if you need it, or you can just try to name the country.
I mean, I would assume
yes,
Germany.
Correct.
Okay.
Now you can, for extra credit, if you can name the brewery, you know it's Germany, you know it starts with an H. You know they make Sundenbock. And I apologize if you're German and listening to this, because that might not be how you pronounce it. But S-U with the umlaut, Ndenbock. So that was my guess.
I would have guessed Sundenbock.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Sweet. S-U.
U with the umlaut.
Umla. I would assume Sundenbock. H. I mean,
You want me to give you some info on
like something like Heidelberg or
Let me give you some info. This
okay.
brewery is situated between Regensburg and Landshut in the middle of Niederbayern, with more than 875 years of history behind it. This is the oldest private brewery in the world.
Whoa.
It's been owned by the Pausinger family since 1899. Since 95, the sixth generation of the family has been managing it.
That's cool.
The
All
oldest
of that is
private brewery in the world.
Yeah. Those are all three cities that I've never heard of.
The brewery's name is Herngiersdorf.
I was so close to guessing that. Can I see the picture?
Yeah. Herngensdorf over here. Yeah. Speaking to the mic, though, if you're going to talk.
Sorry.
You're good. Yeah. So the two
That's
beers
cool.
they have on here is their Sundenbock and their Publiner Dunkel. So I guess they like their dark beers.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. All right. Option number 2. Give me a number.
256.
256 coming up. If I can get there.
It's a rare occasion when you weren't there already.
I wasn't. I went the other way. Oh, okay. I have a story about this brewery.
Sick.
You are in the M's.
M's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So, is it of amber color? Should I preface?
Sure.
Preface
Where
with
do
what
you-
amber is?
Well, I mean, like, I know what an amber is, but like in your color wheel, when you ask this question, at what point does like a Pilsner become an amber and an amber become a whatever's darker than an amber?
So, you know where old West Coast IPAs were in color? Kind of that dark orange.
So then no. This
Anything above that
would not be amber?
Would be amber.
Until what point?
Until it gets to...
Because like a Guinness isn't amber.
No.
Right.
Until you get to a little lighter in color than the Bearded Theologian.
Okay. So
I would consider Bearded Theologian on the cusp of amber.
So then I would say no, this is not amber.
Okay. So lighter.
I didn't say that.
Oh.
Is that your question? Is that question two?
No. What did I originally
You
ask?
said, was it amber of color? And I said no.
Oh, that was a bad question. I meant to ask if it was darker than amber, but
well, we can redo it.
No.
All right.
No. I have to stick to my own rules here. Is it in between 7 and 10% alcohol?
Barely.
Okay. On which end? I don't know. Is it of the North American continent?
No.
Okay. That was a bad that was 3 bad questions. You're gonna
get better at the question asking. I can feel it.
Well, I mean, it's just so hard to like.
I know.
Which pigeonhole do you want to get into?
Yep.
And it's also really hard to make 3 questions interesting because I can make all 3 questions the same every single time.
Sure.
So, but to find the right style,
yeah. You don't know where you're going now. You know, it's not amber, so you're either going light or dark.
I'm gonna go light.
Okay.
I'm going to. It's higher ABV, which is interesting. You've had a fun story with this beer. And what does it start with?
M. I believe the story that I will tell you is in like the beer dictionary like it is made mention.
It may be mentioned
something
in the beer
there.
dictionary.
Yeah, like whatever, like the Bible for beer is out there, you know, because I know one exists because I heard about this story being published somewhere in one of these books or something.
Okay.
But I have a firsthand account of this story.
Oh.
Do you mean to tell you the style of beer? Because you're on the wrong side of the amber.
I'm on
anyway.
the wrong side of the.
Yeah. It was oatmeal stout at 7.5% ABV.
Okay.
Called Beer Geek Breakfast.
Beer Geek Breakfast
by
Mickey's or something.
Well,
I don't know. The brewery.
So I'll read you some background on the brewery. An innovative brewery producing an eclectic range of beer, Blank adopts an American rule-breaking approach to brewing and has achieved significant international recognition with several of its brews. The brewery recently introduced Black, is the name of the beer, the strongest beer ever made by a Blank brewer. And
by a Blank
Black is an imperial stout at 17.5% ABV.
Right on. By a Blank brewer, like a
country of origin brewer. But if I gave you the country, that's the next question. So I couldn't tell you that one.
So not American, not the American continent.
No. I thought you might have heard of Beer Geek Breakfast before, because I had.
It's okay. It sounds familiar, but
you're going to know this brewery, just so you know.
Okay. Maybe Australia?
No.
Dang.
Denmark.
Oh.
Does that help?
McKellar?
Yep. McKellar. So I'm sitting at our bar. This is probably back in 2013. 2014, Yeppa's in town because Freddie, who at the time was doing
Freddie Things.
Yep, Freddie Things. He had just brought in Evil Twin.
Yep.
Yeppa's twin is Mickle.
Right.
McKellar. Evil Twin is the name of Yeppa's brewery. They hate each other.
Oh, I know.
That relationship is what's in this beer Bible thing, this whole thing. So we're at a table. It's me, Josh Royal, Tom Gilbert, Freddie, and Yeppa. And we're sitting in the corner booth by the bar at our bar towards the restroom. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do.
So we're sitting there. Josh and Freddie get up to get a beer. Tom goes to the bathroom. It's me and Yeppa. Just kicking it. And
fun time.
And back then, like this is craft beer boom, right? So
he's beer
Evil
Jesus.
Twin is.
Yeah, he's beer Jesus.
I took a trip to New York specifically to go sit at Evil Twin and eat the Michelin star restaurant that they shared the kitchen next door. And so like you were getting Michelin star bar food
right
at Torst in New York City.
Yeah.
And so we're just exchanging stories and talking, and out of the blue, like there's a little pause in conversation, and he takes a drink of one of his beers and he goes, again, bad with accents.
Right.
He goes, "Do you know my brother, Mickle?" And I was like, of him, yes, but I do not know him. And I almost imagine it as if he took a draw off a cigarette or something, because he goes, "Good. He's a fucking asshole." and then gets out of
that was the only thing he wanted to say.
All he wanted to say. Yeah. And then gets out of the booth and like puts his beer glass on the counter, asks for another, and comes back, and conversation goes on. Like it was just
so I was drinking beer with him at it must have been 2013.
Yeah, it was one of those 13 or 14.
It was at shoot, what's the bar?
I'm gonna grab another fake beer. I'm listening. They'll keep talking.
Yeah, you're good. Shoot, why is my brain going completely blank? Because I haven't been there for forever. Over by the ISO container
group.
Give me
something.
Yeah, I know. Over on
First Shop.
Thank you.
I
That
gotcha.
was terrible of me.
You want to try the Kolsch?
Cheers. Oh,
Cheers.
sure.
I pulled that out of my ass. First shop. But back in the day, like that's where people would go for.
Yeah, it was the craft beer bar
stuff. Yeah.
Why did it change?
I think it still is, but I mean, craft beer kind of died down a little bit from like the bringing in all the beers and like the hard to get, because now we can get a bunch of stuff.
They don't really have a big draft system. They were really popular because they were bringing in bottled and canned,
and it was like a Freddie relationship with them. And
yeah,
that was back when like I was in a fantasy football league that instead of money it was beer, and you had to put up like 10 bottles, all bigger format, large format. You could not be able to buy them in the state of Oklahoma.
I would kill to go back to those days.
It was so much fun. Trey actually ran the league, Christina's husband.
I would kill to go back to those days, mainly because
not a bad Kolsch,
no. Yeah. Not a bad Kolsch at all. That's actually stupid. Yeah. I forgot that it was non-alcoholic. Right? That's impressive.
Yeah.
No, because that was back when craft beer was still like kind of mysterious.
It was fun,
still
dude.
fun. It was exciting. It was, hey, have you heard about Stone?
Right. Enjoy after, like all the cool.
Yeah. Have you heard of Revolution in Chicago?
Yeah. Half acre.
I mean, oh my gosh, have you heard of Daisy Cutter?
I mean, even like I used to, so the reason I moved to Denver, I don't know if many people know this. I mean, yes, I had met and was starting to date a girl that lived there, and I met her here. She had come back home, but Denver was on my final. It was either Denver or Barcelona. It was like my final two.
Whoa.
And the reason Denver was on that list is I had started going up for GABF in 2011, and like went every year. Only went to the actual event maybe twice before I moved there.
Wow.
But back then it was the week of GABF that was what you wanted to be at. It was all these special tappings and takeovers and highlights and just like all this stuff around town.
Yeah. And it still
is
huge.
It still is. But like I would be off Tuesday, Wednesday. And so I would take the last flight out on Monday and then be there Tuesday, and then take the last flight out Wednesday or the first flight out Thursday, depending. So I would leave before the event actually started, but it was so much fun. And I fell in love with Denver just from that.
Yeah.
And like when I lived there, my mind is not working today. I spent too much time inside.
You're good.
Who's the importer or the distribution group that
imported
Prairie
and all
used
those
to
guys?
Yeah,
they went under. So
I don't know what was it called though, because they had a festival. Sheldon Brothers. So they had Sheldon Fest in Denver.
Sheldon or Shelton Brothers?
I think Shelton
Brothers.
Yeah, with a T.
Did they go under, or did they survive the?
I don't know. But again, like
anyways,
I stopped paying attention to that kind of stuff because we can get things in Oklahoma now. So it's like I don't pay attention.
Well, we're starting to kind of not get things in Oklahoma.
Are we going back towards
we're receding from, and this is I don't go into liquor stores all the time anymore.
Fair. But I want to have a liquor store owner on here. We'll get Emily on here. To talk about that. Handshakers.
What I would say is you can get a lot of the big brands more now, but the things like the breweries like Evil Twin or McKellar or Dre Fontaine or those kind of things.
Yeah.
Much harder to find because people aren't clamoring.
Yeah, there aren't lines for beer anymore.
Right.
There's line for bourbon.
There's lines. So when do you think, because this would be great for me, not when, what do you think it would take to get the craft beer industry back, or the beer industry back into that realm of excitement, because we were actually asking ourselves that, because we all think about 2013, 2012.
It was so much fun. I mean, the Tulsa
was
Craft
so
Beer Week
much
shut
fun.
down Peoria.
Yeah.
Like
Hop Jam was like 30,000 people.
Yeah. Half of that was for
Hanson. But no, blah, blah. Hey, I have to be careful. They're really good friends.
They're awesome. Yeah,
they're awesome.
I love them. Yeah.
I love them.
Taylor Isaac.
And their music is actually pretty good. If you listen to it, it's really, really good.
Sustain a career as long as they have off of one song, or if you're not good.
They still sell out.
Yeah.
Especially
Their European
overseas. Their European shows sell out within moments still.
It's impressive. And they are really good dudes.
I love them to death.
They are.
I love that whole family.
Yeah.
Good people. So back to the question.
Oh, if I knew that, I would be consulting with craft beer places all over the country. But
guess, because I'm guessing too. I'm in the industry, and I'm like, my soul needs to have that excitement again. Where does it go?
So let me answer your question with a question. What gave you the excitement to begin with?
I think the excitement was I guess it was the newness, but also at the same time, the rarity of it. And kind of this mystical notion that, I mean, it was a new story to beer, though we're never going to get that new story back.
Not necessarily, but so when I was in Denver, a couple nights a week, I worked at Cerebral just to get out of the house. Well, I started at Black Shirt, and then I ended up
making an ungodly amount of tips.
Yeah. I mean, it was fantastic. But even when I go back now and I go see Sean and I go see whoever, I mean, Sean's pretty much the only one I know, the owner. They've, staff just rotates through. But they do a really, really good job of, I mean, it's always busy, always just slammed. And it's because they use experimental ingredients, experimental hops. They do different things where like people show up to Cerebral because they don't know what's going to be on the menu. It's like, like, yes, they have their house IPA rare trait. They have their house stout, and they have their, they have a whole fooder line. They have all these big fooders, and they just do, but they do like one foodered lager, but then they just like play. And and some of it might be shit. It might not be good. Like some people might like it, but they had things on there that like Sean, myself, some of our regulars didn't like. I was like, no, not it. Yeah. But they had to blow through the keg. Or dump it. One of the two,
So, so how,
and they still have lines around the block when they do bottle releases because they only do like 3 a year. And so they'll release the week of GABF, they'll release some heavy stout, and they're usually only stouts. They'll release heavy stouts, and then there's like a stout day that they do where they release all their, like, they have a recurring series called Here Be Monsters, and they do like different versions of it. And then they do collaborations for like the other release with different places. So I think there's a way to bring newness back as a whole, but I also think it's cyclical, right? Like the bourbon bubble will burst here in the next little bit, and
it'll probably be wine next.
I think tequila. I think agave spirits.
Tequila.
I think agave spirits will come up. Rum will come up, and then craft beer. Like at that point, craft beer will come back up. Like but you can't just sit there and wait for it. You have to proactively, like, if I was going to consult for Cabin Boys, I would say start experimenting with beers that are outside of your comfort zone and just see what happens. Because that would, either way, it's going to be exciting for people to see. It's either going to crash and burn, and you're going to be in the misery with your clientele together, being like, this sucks. Or, I mean, you could name the beer. This sucks. IPA, this experimental hop was shit. But you know what? We tried it.
We think this is shit. IPA.
But you know what? We tried it.
Don't drink this. Pilsner.
Instead of enjoy never. Just don't do it. I think that would probably be the number one thing is like you guys have your footprint of the style of beer that you make and you make well.
I'm excited. This isn't a time to talk about Cabin Boys, but I am excited to get the brew pub brewery operating.
Yeah.
Just for that reason.
Yeah. And I think for any brewery that asks me that. Now there's some like, I think Jake at Heirloom does a good job because he does a bunch of, well, I will say that he does the same random stuff every year.
Right.
But they're random. Like he'll go pick dandelions and make a beer. He'll go forward sumac berries and make a beer. Like, but you'll know that beer's coming back next year.
Yeah.
And so eventually that wears off and it's like, there's no clamor to get it, or you're not going to buy a case of it. You might buy a 4-pack and then that'll hold you over until you get it on tap and then have it next year,
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to think of who the most experimental brewery in the city might be. Nothing's left. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, I love them, but a lot of those are kind of misses for my palate.
They're great. And
tip of the cap for taking the risk, right? Like,
and they are some of the nicest people on planet Earth.
Just A+ humans. Yeah. Honestly, just like really nice people. And like,
can I secretly hate them for putting cereal in everything? 100%.
I mean, they have a beer called These Nuts.
But does it make a whole bunch of money for them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it does.
No, I'm kidding. I
know,
hate
but
them
like,
at all.
Some of it just isn't for me.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's totally fine. I'm not there for the beer slushies and it's just not for me. But yeah, I think
I commend them. They made a beer taste exactly like Mountain Dew, and they made a beer taste exactly like Surge.
They did.
I want to know that secret.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be my consultation for any brewery in the city, but Cabin Boys as well. Like, to make it new, you have to do something new, because that's what the excitement was. And it was for me too. It was like beers I hadn't had before from breweries I hadn't had before. But then once I had the brewery, it was, what else can I get from this brewery?
Right.
And so like,
and the funny thing is though, for us as brewers, and I don't mean to make this podcast about beer, but it's so interesting. Like, the beer industry, because of the last 25 years, has enough money now to put research money into areas that make beer way interesting. And I just don't think that the public is seeing it as interesting, because we're seeing, and I'll have a couple of podcasts come out talking about like thiols, which you can literally take an enzyme from the malt, make something that the yeast enjoys, and make it taste like maple syrup.
Damn, that's cool.
Or pineapple.
Here's something. If you could figure this out, that would be a game changer. Can you make a healthy beer taste good?
What do you mean a healthy beer?
Like, I think that's part of the reason why, like, maybe I'm totally off base here.
Sure.
But I feel like there's been a come up of people like paying attention to what they eat, paying attention to what they drink, trying to just be better in that way.
Yeah.
And beer's a lot of empty calories and empty carbs and empty things.
How do you make beer
Ultra isn't, right? But it also tastes like water.
Right.
So is there a way to make healthier beer not taste like healthier beer?
Like sub 100 calories.
Yeah.
Taste
but like
good.
And have options.
Right.
Like have a stout that's under 100 but actually tastes like a stout. I don't even know if that's possible. But that's, you start playing around in those waters, and if you can figure it out, I mean, it's a point of differentiation.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, let's keep going.
Give me a number, last one.
I'll think on that.
Okay. I just opened the page to 2 great breweries, which, depending on what number you tell me, tell you what they are.
Then
No. You gotta give me numbers.
oh goodness.
Or no, I tell you what. Right or left?
Left.
Okay, you're in the G's.
G.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is this an ale?
Yes.
Okay. Is it of the sub 6% area?
No.
Okay. It's a G. Does it have multiple malts that makes it of the darker descent of the beer?
Yes. We'll see if that was the right answer.
I was just trying to make the question, is it dark, more interesting.
Yes.
I'm going to give an interesting guess. A porter?
No, it is an old ale.
An old ale.
A complex, earthy nose packed with chocolate, roasted nuts, and freshly baked molasses cookies.
An old ale. So
called hibernation ale.
Oh. Hibernation ale.
Would you like a little more about the brewery?
North of the Baltic Sea, or
I don't know. Did you mean Baltic Sea?
Did I mean the Baltic Sea?
While you think of that, let me. Well, if I can't read that for you yet. Oh, I can stop before the last sentence. Opened in 94. Blank quickly earned a reputation for carefully balanced beers. Its ales have grown bigger in strength and hop character, and the brewery's reputation has grown, but its beers still retain that delicate equilibrium.
In 94.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I'll read
so
you
it's technically a craft, like almost an OG craft brewery.
Mm-hmm. Name that country. You had to have heard of Hibernation Ale.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Would you like to know the name of the other beer on here?
Sure.
Titan IPA.
I've heard of Hibernation more than Titan. I would assume it's in the Americas.
That would be correct. That's your question. Which Americas?
I'm in North America.
Yes. All right. Any guess on the brewery with a G?
With a G?
Mm-hmm. The brewery is a short walk from Coors Field, home of the Rockies baseball team.
I was about to say Great Divide.
Correct.
Yeah. Wow.
You got one.
All right. I did it.
Not style, but brewery. You got one. The bone I have
old
to pick.
Ale?
Yeah. It's an old ale.
I don't know if I've ever brewed an old ale before.
Yeah. And then Titan is their IPA. Obviously.
I mean, I've technically brewed ales that were old styles.
There you go. If I was to tell you what two beers or what beer do you think has to be on here from Great Lakes Brewing Company, what would you say?
Great Lakes?
Mm-hmm. Do you know Great Lakes?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be their Christmas ale, right? That's like what they're famous for. Their Christmas beer. And it's not on here. They went with the Edmund Fitzgerald Porter and the Elliot Ness Vienna Lager.
Oh, that must be like here. Some of their OGs.
Maybe, yeah.
Huh. Though I've not had many Great Lakes.
Their Christmas beer each year is one of my favorites.
We opened up a Magnum of the last Anchor Christmas ale.
Oh, really? This year's? Or
2022.
22's? Yeah. I have a 22 or 21 in my fridge.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was sad.
I don't know when I'm going to drink it.
It tasted like tears.
All right. We can wrap it. It's been an hour and a half.
Oh, what a fun hour and a half.
Yeah. Just sitting here chatting. So we'll be back Monday.
Yep.
Which is the 22nd. Yep. I had to do quick math. One thing I told Christina, and can apply for kettle editions as well, see if your guests that would have been on the previous week, if you have a guest,
right,
will come on the tasting room and just talk about
Perfect.
whatever that
I'll
is.
ask Amber.
So,
she actually could maybe come in person if we ask nicely.
I don't know
if you want that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would love to do it in person, but I don't know how we would do it. Haven't figured that out yet.
We haven't.
That's why we can utilize technology and just not even worry about it. But cool. Well, then we will see you guys same time, same place for the live stream and the podcast, which will go up on Tuesday mornings. So
right on.
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too.
Doggies were good. Appreciate you guys.
Stay warm.
Good luck. Love you guys. Bye.
See ya.